When this lockdown crisis hit you and your organization, what was the first response like?
Somewhere we were preempting something like this to happen. So before the formal lockdown actually hit us, as an organization, thanks to us being a global firm, we'd already started experiencing this in other parts of the world. So we very promptly started putting people almost 2 weeks in advance on a work from home kind of a
Right.
arrangement. Initially, you are in that phase of denial where you feel that, oh, this is just a couple of days and things are going to come back to normal. And you start operating exactly in the mode in which you are operating in a normal day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this time, that work from home is a very different work from home. This was a work from home where your husband, your kids, your in-laws, and everybody is in house.
Yeah.
Everybody is working from home. Your kids are fighting with you because there's that much of bandwidth, and they have their online classes going on.
Mm.
Your husband needs space because he has his own work to do, and I have my own work to do. So suddenly, the space which earlier was enough suddenly seems it's not enough.
So, as a leader of a team, what have you had to do to, um, adapt to this situation?
I think a very good question, Yoshita, because I think this time has questioned and put all the leaders in a very different situation. See, no, none of us have actually ever dealt with a situation like this.
Absolutely.
So you have to somewhere go with your gut. This is the time where your brain and heart could be at a conflict.
Mm.
um, what has been very important and what has worked very well in the current scenario is communication. I think communication is key. Like there is uncertainty for us, there is uncertainty for the team because they don't know what's coming up next,
Mm.
what to expect next,
Mm.
how does this affect them, does it affect them at all or not. And what I have done as a leader is ensure there is timely communication. And I think the concept of over communication doesn't apply in the scenario today.
Right.
And when I say communication, communication is not just to do with what's happening professionally. I think what is important is right now to also be empathetic and listen to what the rest of your team is going through, because they are all in a very different kind of a scenario today. The second piece is, I think what has been very important is, as a leader, it is not necessary you have all the answers.
Mm.
It's important that we acknowledge and accept that we may not have a solution for everything. And it's absolutely okay to say that, guys, I don't really have an answer for you, but what do you think we can do? So I think it's the time where I have seen there are people who stepped up. uh, I never thought some of them had the kind of skills and the attitude to really take on that baton and move it like, don't worry, we'll do this. So
Mm.
I'm seeing a lot of creativity coming out in people
Mm.
in terms of what we can do.
So, for you, Konika, what has been your moments of dilemma in this process, and any moments of triumph that you can share with us?
Have been, starting from the fact, is it okay that I'm telling my, team member that, hey, you know what, I'm cooking in the kitchen. Can I call you in 10 minutes? Because you're so used to the fact that, you're always available for them. To the time when, let's say, a client requests, can we have a call at 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the evening or on a Saturday? Um, it's been very hard to say no, to the point where you arrive and say, hey, this worked for me earlier. I used to be in my office environment doing these many hours. I don't see why I should not do that. And it's absolutely okay for me to say that let's put this to tomorrow.
Yeah, so one has to really juggle a lot more suddenly, and it is definitely difficult. And I think you have a very interesting triumph story as well. So why don't you tell us
Oh,
that?
yes. The Triumph one, I think, is my one of the biggest triumphs I've had, which I have been fighting for. And I think that's the silver lining on the personal side of it. I have lost 15 kilos in 2.5 months.
Wow.
Whereas for me, it was, yes, it was a challenge to even lose one. So the other day, I have to share this with you. I have a colleague of mine who tells me, there seems to be something different about you. So he saw me on video after a long time. I said, what do you mean by there's something different about me? And I got very conscious about it, what's happened to me type of thing. And God knows what these Zoom video calls make you look like. He said, no, but I can see a Konika which I saw like some 5 years back. Yes, that's a big one. I'm exercising for 45 minutes every day. I'm
Wow.
doing my meditation for 15 minutes every day. So I have that 1 hour, and I absolutely have all intentions of preserving this 1 hour every day with me going forward.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure. I think that y- you are just glowing with this shift in how you coming across. And believe me, Zoom makes you look beautiful right now. I mean, you look absolutely.
Thank you.
What are some practices that you have followed so that you kind of insulate yourself from all the negative energy that is hitting us 24/7?
First thing I did is stop looking at all the WhatsApp videos. And the other very important piece is, Yoshita, which I would like to share with you. What you're saying, in the initial days, I figured out every time we used to ask people what's going on, is there something you want to talk to? They would talk about, what is not going right. So then I started following one exercise with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, so when we start the session or we close the session, we will start with, today I am grateful for.
Okay.
Okay. And each one of us has to say, what am I grateful for today? And count our blessings in this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that bring in a lot of positive energy and positive influence in how people were talking and how they were reacting to different scenarios.
What has been your biggest learning or realization through these last 2 months?
One thing I have learned is that sometimes you have to, just, and we always talk about it in theory, you have to rise to the occasion. It's all right. Sometimes, like I mentioned, not to have all answers. And it is also sometimes okay to acknowledge that this is what it is. This is what is the situation. Now,
Right.
what does that translate into? It translates into the fact that agility in today's time is far more important and a virtue, I would say,
Mm,
than it has ever been. We've
mm,
spoken about agility all the time. I think it is something which is required. But in today's time, you have to practice it. So if you're not agile, you are not receptive enough that, this is a change and I can't control this change, but I have to deal with it and work around it. I think that is something which is very, very important.
so,
And as far as my personal side is concerned, I think one thing I have learned is I think it is important to first be me myself. Okay, when you start giving too much to everybody, somewhere you yourself take a hit and you are not able to give your best. So that 1 hour which I am taking out, which
mm.
has done me personal good, that's the time when I would say is my me time in the whole day. And I absolutely thoroughly enjoy it, and it keeps me charged for the whole day then.
So is it going to be non-negotiable going forward?
Non-negotiable for sure.
Thank you so much, Konika. You really shared very, very candidly, straight from your heart.